Things seem to keep getting better and better for Carmelo Anthony out here. But what he doesn't realize is all those things that are getting better for now are only hurting what his life and experience is going to be, what's going to happen to him and come his way once he gets into prison. I mean, it's looking bad and it's getting worse.
All right. Come on, man. Just follow me.
Armed at school. Explain your self-defense. How is this self-defense?
Excuse me.
How do I know? I've been there 10 years. There's me, in case you're new here. And let me tell you, what's happening in the latest few updates with Carmelo Anthony are going to seal his fate and make the one thing that would have and could have saved him on the inside of those prison walls useless. And I'm going to explain how. Let's get started. So let me start off straight to the point. I've said in previous videos covering this Carmelo Anthony case and what's going to happen when he gets to prison and how that really plays into what is life going to be like for him as far as him going into a brand new world and me explaining to you all how that new world works, which he's going to have to find out the hard way like I did. But clearly, the biggest thing Carmelo Anthony has going for him in terms of not being harmed in prison once he inevitably goes there is his money, these hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that have been donated to him because he murdered a classmate, Austin Metcalf. Not to mention, it sounds like his family was doing pretty dang good before all those donations. Now, in my previous video, I went on to say for all these reasons, such as Carmelo, he's entering into a state prison system that primarily is separated into gangs that are kind of race-driven, race-related. You have black gangs, you have white gangs, you have Latino gangs. It's not always like that everywhere. There are some state prisons that don't have any of that. There is no white, black, there are Bloods, Crips, which Crips now allow white people to join. There are GDs, Gangster Disciples. They now allow white people to join. There's all type of more street-driven gangs, more commonly known on the streets, the Bloods, the Crips, all that. That's what you're going to find there. And then there's some states that have prison systems where you're not going to find really any of that. And it's going to be more so racially divided. Okay. Texas is one of those that it's kind of more racially divided, but you do have some Bloods, Crips, things like that. And what you also have is a very dangerous gang that Carmelo Anthony has been proven to claim to be a member of by holding up their gang sign in a picture, holding up a modified airsoft rifle, which he altered to make it look like a real rifle, trying to pose as a dangerous gang member that everyone should be afraid of, right? He, without a doubt, I'm sure, knowing that he grew up in Frisco, Texas, or is from Frisco, Texas, and is doing very well and lives in the suburbs, clearly this guy is not some hardcore gang member. I'm sure he never went through the initiation or really runs with the Vice Lords, who he claimed to be a part of in this photo. That was going to be one of his main problems because as much as the white gangs are going to want to get him, obviously, the big argument there is, oh, well, the black gangs won't let that happen, which normally they wouldn't, or there'd be a big stink about it, to put it politely. They'd make a big fuss about it. It would get nasty if things went there, trust me. The reason why I think they wouldn't go there is because, man, false claiming, pretending to be a part of a gang, a black gang, is one of the worst things you can do. And then you go in there and you already have the reputation of a clown who comes in there and you're pretending to be a part of the gang. Any gang that does bring you in and accept you genuinely, you're going to be a thug. You're going to be a real soldier. You're going to be a real respected, dangerous member of our gang. And we're going to stand behind you and be like, yeah, he's one of ours. You all will look like idiots. You can't tarnish the respect and the reputation of your gang. Whether you out there respect gangs and their reputations or just think they're all a bunch of idiots, I get that. We're talking about how they think in prison right now. Okay. Any gang that accepts that guy, oh, you accepted the guy who pretended to be a part of the Vice Lords. What's going on here, buddy? What's up with that? So because he won't be accepted for that reason, I can guarantee you he won't be accepted in any gang. Okay. He would be accepted into a gang, not as a gang member, but as more of an asset, or this is our guy. He's ours. This is our golden goose. This is our cash cow. Because what he will be is extorted, and he will be paying protection. Because they know from watching the news and getting on their contraband cell phones, which I've explained are plentiful in every state prison in the entire country. If you don't know that by 2025, good Lord. I mean, I guess you're just not on the internet. Inmates are going live from their prison cells on cell phones, iPhones, probably nicer than yours and mine. I got a 13. They probably got a 16. Going live every day, showing off their wine, their knives, their tobacco, everything that you can think of that they think is a flex to show off. Point is, they see everything we see on the phones, social media, the internet. They sit there, they watch the news religiously. It's their only point of contact for what is happening in the world, which is very important to people who have a bad case of FOMO, fear of missing out. Because I can tell you from experience, you feel like you are missing everything, which you kind of are. So they stay glued to that TV and stay glued to all these little media updates, whether on phone or TV, to see what is happening, what are people thinking, what's going on, what am I missing? I want to stay up to date and feel like I'm not missing out so much. That matters to inmates. Side note, me personally, I actually went to the library one time during my time and checked out a couple of the Game of Thrones books because that was, it's been about 4 years almost since I've been in prison. And I did 10 years in there. So at one point, I would see these People magazines come in and stuff. Inmates had subscriptions to. And just the big thing was the new season of Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones. I had never even heard of it or seen it. But I was like, well, if this is what everyone's talking about, I don't want to feel like I'm missing out. Now, I can't sit there and, sign up for HBO Max and watch it. But I can go to the library and see if they got those books. And they did. And I read all those books we're talking big books, baby. 7 of them. Just to feel a little more connected to the current events of the outside world. That's how much it matters. Point is, they're going to be watching these updates and this whole Karmelo case religiously, the inmates. And you know what they're having done to them? They're being radicalized. They're being emotionally worked up and charged up, just like a lot of people out here are. The same way that works. Oh, it works 3 times harder in prison because you got a bunch of pent up, angry, cold, just aggressive, frustrated inmates who don't have a lot of their mental and emotional issues worked out. And they are very easily manipulated by that type of stuff, especially when you start getting the racial aspect drawn into it, which we know this has. For example, some of the new updates with Carmelo Anthony, the Shiloh Hendricks situation. White woman goes to a park, gets mad at a 5-year-old black kid for going through her purse, calls him the N-word, gets recorded doing it, plastered all over the internet. They try to ruin her life. They actually make her almost a dang millionaire. Now there's a bidding war. White people donating to Shiloh to make her rich. Black people donating to Carmelo to make him rich. Who can raise the most money? It's pretty neck and neck. I think Shiloh's winning a little bit, but it's insane. And then following this, this incites it even more. You're hearing the term black fatigue going around. White people are coming out and being more open about how they feel, about just being tired of all this race stuff and all this hate coming from black people. You have people going on Piers Morgan admitting to openly using the N-word all the time, even directed at black people when they feel it's appropriate, and not being ashamed and standing behind that. People on both sides, they are being revved and ramped up, and everyone is speculating this is leading to a race war. And let me tell you something. If that's what's being pushed out and promoted, and that's actually, in reality, what this is all coming to, this is where it's going to come to a head, and it is going to be that. The last place and the worst place you could ever be when that happens is stuck inside of a violent, gang-infested state prison system full of radicalized, emotionally charged, violent inmates, which is where Karmelo Anthony is going to be smack dab in the middle of. And let me explain why, since that's where this is going, in his case, him specifically is one of the, if not the main topics driving this whole movement, or whatever you should call it. Listen, his money, if he even has any left after his parents spend it all on new cars and houses, his money is not going to matter. And let me give you a good example. I'm going to give you a good example. Really happened this year. High profile, infamous name inmate who everyone hates. I'm going to explain why his money saved him, and then I'm going to explain why it didn't. I posted a video even yesterday talking about this person out of many. Scott Peterson. Listen, this guy had money. He was all over the news. Over 20-something years ago, he killed his wife, Lacey, and their unborn child, Connor. She was pregnant. He killed her. Everyone in America hated this guy, okay? Everyone hoped, with their fingers crossed, something would happen to this guy when he went to prison. Let me tell you something. He goes to prison for life. 21 years pass. 21 years pass. You know when year 22 was? This year. 21 years pass. Not a finger was laid on him. Not a hair on his head was touched. Okay, year 22 comes along, this one in March. He's out there on the rec yard playing pickleball. I guess they let California inmates play pickleball. And there's two conflicting reports, but he either hit a pickleball and it hit another inmate who wasn't playing, or he was running after a pickleball and crashed into an inmate who wasn't playing. Either way, once this inmate, Charles Mills, got hit, he saw red and beat Scott Peterson to a pulp with his two fists. Okay, he didn't stab him. He didn't use a weapon. He wasn't even expecting this. It was not planned. Something happened, and he beat him to a pulp. Okay. Now, stay with me. Stay with me here. Because I'm jumping back and forth between money saves you and money doesn't save you. Inmate Charles Mills gave a full and detailed statement to, New York Post, TMZ, they were reaching out, all of those publications that, jump on some breaking news headline like this. And he told them and explained to them, yeah, I did it. I saw him coming at me and just, something just came over me and I beat the crap out of him. He said, but I will say, later that night, I was told that it is in my best interest to apologize to Scott Peterson and accept the apology of Scott Peterson. And he said, in fact, they spent 2 hours that night in the cell block talking, one from his cell, kind of shouting out into the cell block. That's how a lot of inmates communicate during lockdown hours, talking it out. And he said, I didn't really want to, but I realized it was in my best interest because I was told by inmates, Scott Peterson has enough money to make sure he can take revenge against you if he wants to. Okay. That shows you right there for 21 years. You'll have every prison content creator on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. They will get on here and preach to the high heavens. Inmates who hurt women get beat up in prison. Inmate who hurt kids get killed in prison. This guy hurt a woman and a kid. Was not touched. Nobody even sneezed in his direction for 21 years. Why? Because he had money. He was paying, he was going with the flow, following the program. Money rules all. Money will keep you from harm no matter what you did or who you did it to. Same with Karmelo. Money. But you know what money can't control? An inmate waking up on the wrong side of the bed. They wake up. They're pissed off. Their girlfriend, their baby mama didn't answer their call last night. They slept through breakfast. They're hungry. Somebody stepped on their shoelace in the bathroom when they were waiting on the urinal. It's 3 or 4 things that stacked up. Now oh my God. On top of being in prison, I'm just so pissed to be here, man. Nobody better say anything out of the way to me. Nobody better do anything to me today. And then boom. Something happens, harmless, I'm sure, on Peterson's part. He's just playing the game, got a little too into it, and got the crap beat out of him. No matter how much money, he's been paying money for 21 years, hadn't been touched. And he did horrible things to innocent people. But all it takes, as I preached in my other videos about Karmelo, you can have all your politics in prison worked out. I got this agreement with the whites, and I got this going on with the blacks, and I pay the Latinos this much money, and everybody knows. And these most powerful people, they love me because I give them $1,000 a week, and I'm fine, and you can be fine for over 20 years until you're not, until the day somebody wakes up who don't give a crap about none of that and hurts you and messes you up. And you know who's more likely to have that kind of day than just some random guy named Charles Mills on the pickleball court who beat up Scott Peterson? Any inmate in Texas prison who is being fed this enraging news and media and propaganda to fire you up. I would say at least 10 times more or better likely to have a day where they're like, man, I don't care who you're paying what amount to, man. I can't even look at your face. I'm so mad. Not to mention, just for example, I was locked up from 2012 to 2022. I was in prison for the 2016 election of Donald Trump. I'm not here to get into politics. Telling you what it is. I got transferred from one yard to another yard the night before Donald Trump won the election and became president in 2016. And I was getting transferred because I put in for something called a hardship. And that means basically I want to move to a prison closer to my actual home because where I'm at now is too far for my parents who are elderly to be able to make the trip to come and visit me. Okay, so they'll review you for like 6 months and you might get it, you might not. Luckily, I got it. They packed me up, sent me to another yard the night before Donald Trump got elected president. So the day I arrive at the new yard, by that night, you know what I found out? The yard I had just left, once Donald Trump became president, won the election, every white guy in the cell block I was in got stabbed. Got stabbed. Gang members and non-gang members. Even just your harmless, just old man who's in there and he just wants his one little cup of coffee every day and he wants to watch his little program and doesn't bother anybody. If you were white, you got stabbed. There were gangs who had white and black gang members. The black gang members were stabbing their own gang members who were white. That's how fired up this made everybody. And I would say what's going on here, if you've been following, is just as much, if not more, going to lead to a more intense head when it bursts. There is no way somebody's not going to wake up one day and do something to Karmelo Anthony. That's my take. That's my opinion. Call it what you want. I'll call it based on a lot of experience. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christina Green, and I'm the dentist who helped Jumpsuit Pablo get his smile back. But it wasn't just about his smile. It was about getting his health, his confidence, and being able to fully live again. If you've been hiding your smile, or you think that full mouth reconstruction is out of reach, I want you to know that your medical insurance may have benefits to cover this surgery. Every day, we help people just like you. To see if you qualify, just scan the QR code or email me directly. I'm Dr. Green, and I'd love to see if I can help you.